All right, so this session today is called Gender, Equity, and the Workplace. And we have a terrific panel today that we're going to ask a bunch of questions, and hopefully we can get all your questions answered also. So what is a non-traditional occupation? So the short definition is jobs that have been traditionally filled by one gender. However, the long definition is occupations or fields of work for which individuals from gender comprise less than 25% of the individuals employed in each occupation or field of work. That's kind of a mouthful, right? So what role does this play in your classroom, and how can you as teachers help all students? So our panel today is pretty awesome. Maybe what we'll do is I have a slide for each person, and we'll start off with Amy. So Amy, I'll go to your slide, and if you can just give a brief introduction, that would be great.
All right, hi, my name is Amy Hasvold, and I've been with RESPEC, an engineering and consulting firm in Rapid City for 7 years now. My background is mechanical engineering. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in mechanical engineering. I joined RESPEC right out of college, and I worked on their mining team for 6 years, and now I am on our corporate executive team as our strategic programs manager.
Perfect, thanks Amy. Next we have Ryan Rumpsa. Will you introduce yourself, Ryan, and give us just a brief background?
Hi, I'm Ryan Rumpsa. I'm originally from South Dakota, but I live in Minneapolis now, and I am a pre-K teacher in Brooklyn Center, and I've been there for 6 years now. I'm also an officer in the military. I've been in for 10 years now, but I'm still in the South Dakota National Guard. I'm stationed out in Rapid City, so I travel for work there. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome, thanks Ryan. All right, next we have Quentin.
Hi, I apologize. I had my days off here. I was supposed to be home, and I'm actually traveling today, so I'm just on my cell phone. But yeah, I'm a flight nurse for Avera McKinnon out of Sioux Falls. I started in healthcare about 8 years ago in Aberdeen in emergency medicine, and then I went out to Rapid City, and I was a nurse out there and flew for Black Hills Life Flight. Now I work for Avera McKinnon, and I live up closer to Aberdeen, still working for Avera. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Quentin. Do you want to go by Quinn or Quentin?
Quentin works.
Quentin. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right. Faith, you're next. I saw her on here.
Whoops, sorry, I was muted there. I'm Faith. I am from Webster, South Dakota. I am majoring in construction management. I'm a senior this year at South Dakota State University. I come from a family business with construction, so I've done it for quite a few years. And yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
All right, thanks, Faith. Shannon.
Hello, I'm Shannon Osborne. I am a research agronomist with the USDA ARS lab in Brookings, South Dakota. I'm originally from Oklahoma, and my research in South Dakota focuses on utilizing cover crops, crop rotations, and no-till. So I'm a scientist working with graduate students and doing research.
Perfect. Thanks, Shannon. And then our last panelist today is Chris.
Hi guys, so my name is Chris Andre. I'm originally from Mission, South Dakota. I apologize for anything and flashing and stuff here. We're actually cruising through Custer State Park right now on a family vacation. So, I graduated from Black Hills State University with my elementary degree and my early childhood certification. And I taught for 10 years in Todd County at multiple grade levels. Moved to the Harrisburg School District. I'm entering my 13th year. And this is going to be my 5th year of teaching kindergarten, which is school-aged students who are not quite ready for kindergarten. So I guess that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We're going to start off with Amy. What was the biggest factor with helping you decide what career to pick?
And so I attribute there was three experiences in my life that led me to engineering. The first one was I interviewed a female engineer when I was in 4th grade for a Girl Scout badge. And through that interview, not only did I think that her career sounded incredibly exciting, but that it just made that career seem very achievable for me, because the engineer, her mom was friends with my mom. She was from Cheyenne, Wyoming, where I was from. She went to school locally. And so some of the other careers that I had pictured as a young kid, you know, like astronaut or other cool science careers, just felt less achievable. And when I learned about her career as an electrical engineer, she worked on robotic assisted or surgery assisted equipment. And that just sounded really, really cool. And so I kind of focused on that all through school, is like, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be an engineer. And my junior year of high school, I still wasn't exactly sure what engineering major I wanted to pursue. And so I went to a summer program to learn about the different engineering majors. And that's how I settled on mechanical engineering, was after this exploration program, learning about all the different types of engineering majors. And then the last piece was my senior year math teacher in high school. She was an engineer. And then after she had a family, she started teaching math. And that also made just the career seem more achievable. I think a lot of women weigh the work-life balance when they're choosing their careers. And so to see her pursue engineering and then still, I guess, have a backup so she could balance her family and her career, that kind of sealed the deal that that's what I wanted to do, was engineering.
Perfect. Thanks, Amy. How about you, Shannon? What was the biggest factor in helping you decide what career to pick?
So hang on, sorry, there's a car going by the house. So for me, I grew up on a farm in rural Oklahoma, and we grew cotton and had livestock. And so I always knew that there were better ways, or there seemed to be better ways that we could manage the land. And so I did FFA in high school, and I went to Oklahoma State University and started with a degree in ag economics, and started working for professors at the university, and working with a professor, learning about the research that they do, led to a master's degree. And then after I got my master's degree, I wanted to go on and get a PhD so that I could do research. And so that led to Nebraska, where I got my PhD, and then my research job here in Brookings. And so it was just a passion for agriculture that I had growing up.
Shannon? Our next question is, what advantage do you think your gender brings to your profession? Ryan, will you help us out with this one?
I mean, there's a lot of advantages to being a male in pre-K. I think there's just, I mean, it's so heavily focused on women in our meetings. I mean, even in emails today that go out mass, it's always, hey ladies, and then I'm just hanging out there. So I mean, there's a lot of thinking that needs to be changed in the program still, but I just think the way that I'm trained to think is a lot different, especially in meetings. And I don't want to play on stereotypes, but you know, women like to gab. A lot of the things that we just end up circling the drain a lot, but I think a lot differently. I'm more focused on getting to the point, getting things done, moving forward. And so having that balance of male and female thinking, I think, helps ultimately make decisions that are best for the kids.
I totally agree. Faith, will you also help us out with this one?
Yeah, so I think that with construction management, I bring a different style of leadership and discipline. It's just kind of different looking at male and female and how they do things differently depending on who they're talking to and what's going on out in the field. So, and then also I feel organization. I feel like women kind of have more other stuff organized. So I feel like I bring that out to the field as well.
Thank you, Faith. Our next question is, did you face any personal struggles with picking your career path? Quinton, will you help us out with this one? I think you might be on mute, Quinton. All right, Chris, do you want to help us out with this one?
I guess as far as personal struggles, I came from a ranching farming family. On my side of the family, I'm a first generation college student, and so making my career, I had some family members that were, oh well, so you're not really going to work, you know, this work's too hard for you, kind of, you know, and so becoming a teacher seemed like the easy way out to some family members. I don't know. Other than that, I know in school it was kind of challenging for a while. I was the only early childhood minor male on Black Hill State's campus, and it wasn't so much a personal struggle, just as I tell people it's kind of a joke. My wife and I both went to Black Hill State, and the question was, well, how come you never get, how come you never study with any guys? And I'm like, well, there aren't any. I'm the only one, you know. But no, I don't. For the most part, I don't think I've had a lot of personal struggles with it. I've been surrounded by great teams at pretty much every school I've ever taught at. Kind of going with Ryan's thing earlier, you know, there's that different thinking and that email. Okay, thanks, ladies, and then you have kids that call you Mrs. because that's what they're surrounded by. But for the most part, it's been pretty struggle free, I guess, other than, like I said, that some of those early misconceptions from family that I was taking kind of the easy road out instead of being a manual labor outdoor rancher for the rest of my life.
How about you, Amy?
So I guess my struggles started once I entered college. And so once I was surrounded by other, especially male students that kind of fit the stereotypical mechanical engineer, you know, they were tinkers growing up, like all through high school. They spent a lot of time like building and playing around with different machines, and that was never me. Like I starting machine design, that was my least favorite class because I didn't have any experience like working with engines or gears or motors or belts or anything. Like I was for sure out of my element in machine design, and that's really why a lot of students choose mechanical engineering. And so for a while I struggled with, I don't have the same passion for this as my peers. And I wasn't really struggling in my classes. I actually graduated #1 in my class. And so I wasn't having a hard time in my classes. It just felt like everyone else fit the mold better. Like they were more interested in it, or they were better fit for it. And so I did struggle with that for a while. And what really got me through that was my professor's reassurance that, you know, I belonged there and I was cut out for it. And then the second thing that I really struggled with was the competition. And so, you know, and for a while, I didn't know if I wanted to go into a field where I was gonna stick out, and you know, there was all these people who were, you know, like, you know, trying to cut you down to move up and get on top. And I didn't enjoy that at all. And considered, changing my major several times in college for that reason, that I didn't want to go into a career field where, you know, I was constantly, you know, being singled out by my coworkers or bullied or, you know, having to really prove myself every step of the way. And I think that also was left in college. I haven't had that same experience in the workforce that I guess just, you know, right out of high school, my peers maybe hadn't matured yet, and that a female in their class that was succeeding more was intimidating, and that real, I guess, dog eat dog type of environment I haven't experienced since I've entered the real world, and that it took me a while to realize that standing out wasn't necessarily a bad thing, especially, you know, I was standing out and it felt awful, like peer to peer, but then, you know, my professors were recognizing me, and especially now that, you know, I'm in the workforce, like it's awesome when your boss knows your name, especially if you're in a large company and you stick out, and there's just more opportunities. And so I've really leaned into that in my professional life since I've left college, and it's served me well.
Thank you, Amy. Is Quentin back on here? Just looking through. Nope, looks like we lost him. All right, we'll move on to the next question. And like I said, if anyone has any questions for the panelists, put it in the chat and we'll make sure to get those answered. Okay, Ryan, did any high school classes help you pick your career?
Not a single one, actually.
That's not good news.
I mean, in high school, my interests were much different. I was, you know, really into math and science, and those were the classes that were geared, you know, focused more on males to become, that was the job that I was supposed to pick. And so that was what I think I told myself I should take an interest in and kind of focus on, rather than, you know, doing, I mean, I was also active in, you know, foods class and facts and whatnot. But that didn't really lead me into the career of teaching. Nothing really had an influence on that. My biggest thing was my family. And I told myself I would never become a teacher. And I fought against it, but I have like 14 teachers in my immediate family, and eventually it ended up being what I wanted to do. And I mean, I used a lot of my high school classes, the things that I learned in there, to help me along my career path, but really none of the classes were pushing me to be an educator that I took in high school.
It seems like we hear that a lot, that people don't want to be teachers or not going to be teachers, and they end up being a teacher and they love it. Mm-hmm. How about you, Chris?
I wouldn't say that any of my high school classes, we didn't have, child development classes. We didn't have any courses like that. I did, you know, some VOTEC classes and those sorts of things in high school. Mine, I guess, I didn't have any classes that really directed me that direction. Mine was more of a personal. I'm the oldest sibling on one side of the family. I'm the oldest cousin, so I was surrounded by, you know, younger kids that I, you know, helped out a lot. And I don't have any teachers in my family, so I didn't have anybody to tell me not to, or tell me to, vice versa. I'm sorry. So yeah, I didn't really have any courses that in high school that helped me. I had great teachers in high school. I had great teachers in elementary school, but I didn't have any classes per se that really helped me out with my decision to become a teacher.
Faith, how about you?
Yes, so my junior year, I did an internship through one of our classes. And since I had done construction for so long, I thought maybe I should weigh out my other options. And so I did. I followed the physical therapist in town, and I realized I did not want to get into the medical field. So that was really, because that was kind of my second option of what I wanted to be, I guess. So that really helped. And then my senior year, I did an internship where it was also kind of through the school, and I did it with the Webster Area Development Corporation. And through that, I was able to attend public meetings and, you know, get along with and be with a lot of people that are kind of higher up on that and in Webster. So I was able to get along and do stuff through the community. So it made me realize that I wanted to stay with the company business and continue to go to school for that. So that really helped me with those internships.
Perfect. That's exactly what we want to hear. Shannon, this next question is for you. What is one roadblock you've encountered in your profession related to your gender, and how did you overcome it?
I guess for me, when I was in college, in graduate school, there were a few females, not a lot, but we worked together as a group, putting out our research plots. And being the girl, I was always the one that had to do the organization and not carry the heavy stuff. And so there was some of those gender specific things that people would think I couldn't do certain things because I was a girl, but I grew up on a farm throwing bags of feed around, so I was very capable of doing all of that stuff just like the guys were. But as I, have become more of a professional and been in my career for 20 years, I think one of the biggest things is I have 3 kids. My oldest is going to be going to college this fall, and my youngest is going to be a 7th grader, is having male scientists understand that there are other things that happen in my life that are just as much of a priority as having my career, and that is, the choices that I make with my family and my kids. And so while they may stay at work and work on a paper or a research project, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, I'm going home because the kids have to be picked up at 5 and dinner has to be made and all of those things. And so I think just getting them to understand that there's other parts, it's that balance between work life and family life. And it has changed dramatically in the last 20 years also. And so those things I don't think are nearly the barrier that they were 20 years ago when I started, but those would probably be some of the major ones.
Thank you, Shannon. Anyone else would like to answer this question too? We have, go ahead.
I guess there was really only one roadblock that really it was right off the bat, just trying to find a job. It was in my interview, and the getting hired process was like my boss was from the older teaching generation, and being a male looking for a pre-K position, she had her doubts of why a male would want this job, or how would a male do this job. And so I actually had to do like a second round of interviews where I actually came in and interacted with the children so she could kind of see that I was fit for the job and that I can do the job as a male. So that was interesting and weird, but I think a learning experience for her, which was good. So
I bet it felt good when you proved to her that I can do this.
It did. It felt great.
We have a question from the group. Someone asked, did your gender affect pay scale in any manner?
Not with me.
No, no, for Ryan. Anybody else?
This is Amy. I honestly don't know. When I took my first job, I didn't negotiate my salary. And I think that, I don't know if that's common for just, first job offers, that you wouldn't try to push for more, but they offered me a job and I took it. And so I to this day, I don't know if they lowballed me, or, if I'm making what my peers are making. But I think that if I was more competent and tried to negotiate, I may have been able to secure a higher salary. And I think that it's way more common for young males to push opposed to young females to try to negotiate.
Thank you, Amy. All right, well, Laura and Brianna and Andrea, will you kind of watch to see if Chris and Quentin join again and let me know? I think we lost both of them. All right, our next question is, what suggestions do you have for a teacher to help make high school programs more equitable and appealing to all genders? Shannon, would you like to answer this one?
I think so. I have a high school student, a senior this year, and my oldest son will be going to college this fall. And I've been around several of the high schoolers in both of my boys did band, and I think that the high school students, from my experience with the Brookings High School and the kids, my children's friends, they don't think about gender nearly as much as we did 15, 20 years ago. And I don't think they put those stereotypes. I think they're less likely to put those stereotypes on themselves and their peers than ever before. And so I think just let the kids explore all of the possibilities that are out there for them. Don't bring gender into it, and they'll do what they want to do. They don't look at gender the same way we used to look at gender, I don't think. And so I think they're going to do the things that they want to do because that's what their interests are. And so just don't put any boundaries on it. Don't make it an issue. Just let them be who they are and let them have their interests and support them in the things that they want to do, because you can do whatever it is that you want to do.
Thank you, Shannon. How about you, Faith?
Yeah, I agree with what she has to say. The only thing I would like to add is I feel that if you brought like not mentioning the gender part of it, but bringing for construction a female in to talk about it, so other girls feel comfortable if they're thinking about it, that it is okay and that it is a thing. That's not just what people think or say. That's really all and I guess I want to say normalize it, but I also feel that if you talk about it too much, then I don't know, it's kind of a hard position. I know when I was in high school, I reached out to a woman in construction, and that really helped me decide that that's the way I wanted to go, because she answered a lot of questions that I had, and so that really helped me, I guess.
Thanks, Faith. Ryan, as a teacher, how would you answer this question?
I think teachers have a lot on their plates already, and they do their best. I mean, they're going to support their kids no matter what they want to become. I think it would benefit schools if there was more parent outreach or parent education programs, because we as teachers, we want the kids to do whatever they want. We're going to push them to do, choose a career that they want to do. I think it's a lot of pressure at home or the way that parents kind of mold their kids to do what they want to do or what they think their kids should do, that kind of influences the kids more when choosing a career program or a career that they want to go for. But having that encouragement at home and school would benefit them more than just teachers saying, you can do it. I think it needs to be a well balanced between both.
Thanks, Ryan. I think we have Quentin back on. Are you there, Quentin? Maybe? All right. Maybe we'll give him a couple minutes. Amy, if you were a teacher and a student told you they were thinking about becoming a blank, but were nervous because they didn't want to be the only girl or boy in the program, what advice would you give them?
And so I guess I would be honest and say, sometimes it might be tough because there'll be times where you do feel like you're sticking out or you're alone, but that like I learned that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're sticking out, then your teachers are noticing you, and then and that's what matters. And so that I would just reassure them that if that's something they're passionate about and they want to go into, that there'll be other they'll be able to weather whatever challenges are presented, and that it will be worth it, and that their differences are what will really make them successful in the field.
Thank you, Amy. Quentin, how about you? I see you there.
Yeah, I'll
there
jump
we
in
go.
on this one. Yeah, I can jump in on this one. So, yeah, I think there's a pretty good, 15 years ago, it was definitely more prominent, like male. I think you stuck out. When I graduated from South Dakota State, we had 80 kids with 8 guys, so 10%. But I wouldn't discourage anyone from it. I think it provides, like, just the same as with females and other non-traditional workforces, the same with male and healthcare. Like, there's a lot of good advantages, different trains of thought, different thinking, and just personality types. And as like throughout the spectrum, obviously, like in nursing, you have newborn to end of life. There's a lot of situations where like people would prefer a male caregiver or a male nurse that works good, and especially in the ER and the ICU and like flight roles, things like that. There's a lot of physicality traits that help out in those type of career fields. So I wouldn't discourage anyone from it. I think just be supportive. There's a lot of good opportunities out there. So,
Quentin, will you answer another question for us? What was a roadblock you encountered in your profession related to your gender, and how did you overcome it?
I think the one thing is like some of the clinical things as time goes on, like with the training you have, like obviously with certain aspects of healthcare, like you have a lot of female caregivers, so then it's not an issue. But sometimes with like a male nurse having to work in like take care of female patients or things like that, you have to like seek assistance or seek supervision or have like partners with you. So like it's more inconvenient because like in the training at times, like you had 7 gals in clinical that can run off and go do they can go through the stations or go through the checks, go into different rooms, and like you had to like get a clinical instructor or get another nurse or somebody to help you. So that was a small bump. I mean, sometimes it was just a smaller hiccup during the day, but you also have to take all the classes. So sometimes you have, like I said, guys in, OB gynecology classes isn't like your forte, but it's all part of the program. So small hiccups, but I think you just work through it, realize it's all part of it. It's like one small facet of it that maybe is not something you particularly like or enjoy, but it's just a small part of the bigger picture. So
Thank you.